Everyone, welcome to your weekly edition of Show Me How It's Done. My name is Lauren Urbonis and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So I have the pleasure every Tuesday at noon of either going live or posting a fun little project for you guys. And I do hope that if this is your first time watching, you go back and check out my YouTube cache of videos, because there are over 100 of them now of little tutorials that I post every week. So the odd time I do miss when I don't have something pre-prepped and I get sick. So unfortunately last week was a perfect example of that. I was all ready to go. I wanted to show you guys this adorable little box. And then I got really sick and could not film anything. So hopefully we're gonna do better today. I do have a little bit of a cough still, but I have tea handy and we should be good. So let's just, fingers crossed, hope we can get through this really cute tutorial. So I do have to give full credit for the measurements and basically the design to a wonderful lady called Ruth's Stamping Corner. I came across this box when I was browsing tutorials and I just fell in love with it. So all I did was I took her measurements and I just redesigned her project using my own choice of paper and colors, and I hope that you guys enjoy this little rendition of it. So these little boxes, I have made 150 of them over the last week because I'm heading off to Las Vegas at the end of the month. And I'm going to a conference there with some fellow Stampin' Up! Demonstrators. So me having the bright idea of, not having enough on my plate, decided to organize 7 organized swaps, including different themes of Christmas cards, new catalogs, birthday, 3D, fun folds. So I'm going to have so many things to show you, but I needed to have a gift to give each of the ladies or gentlemen who participated in my swap. So I came across this little box and I found it so easy to make. So I made 150 of them plus one because I'm going to show you how to make one today. So all you need to do to make this little box is to grab your choice of cardstock. So for this box here, I chose to use Pretty Peacock, but I will show you a bunch of other boxes using different colors, and of course you can use whatever you have in your stash. So I encourage you to use something different because the whole point is to get an idea and then to make it your own sometimes too. So Pretty Peacock, our paper is going to measure 3.5 by 8.5. And then I do have my handy dandy scoreboard here because we need to do a little bit of scoring. So on the short side, I'm going to line this up to the 3.5 inch. I need to do 2 lines. So the first one is going to be at 1/2 inch, and that will go all the way down. You can't see it because I'm out of your screen. It goes all the way down. The second one is going to be at 3 inches. So I've done 1 score line at 1/2 inch, 1 score line at 3 inches at the moment. Now you're going to turn your paper so that the 8.5 inch side is resting across the top, and we need to do 4 lines here. The line number 1 is going at 3 inches, 3.5. Then we're moving all the way over and going to 6.5 and 7. So those again are 3, 3.5, 6.5, 7. Then you can get the scoreboard out of your way, and we're going to grab our bone folders because we always want to have really crisp lines when we're doing a box, okay? So I like to turn it over so that I'm folding inward onto these like kind of puffed out folds. I just find I get a nicer fold. Doesn't matter what you start with, but just make sure you're folding all the same way. So I'm gonna fold into the middle of my workspace. And on all 4 of those lines, I'm also making a nice crisp fold. Once again, doesn't matter where you start, just make sure all of those folds are going the same direction. Okay, so fold, all of it's folded. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this around because it'll be the easiest thing to show you. So right now I have a large square section on the left here. I have that medium square section, and I have a tiny little rectangle section to the far right. That's how I want my paper lined up at the moment, because we have to do a little bit of cutting here, and I want to make sure we're doing the right things. Okay, so between these 2 large square sections, I have these teeny tiny little squares on the top and bottom. We're going to cut up these 2 lines so that that tiny little square is loose, but I've only cut up until that scored line. I'm not cutting past it. If you can imagine, this is just going to be one of our little flaps to close up the box. Okay, so I've done 1 little square, and then because those flaps can get in the way sometimes, I just like to do a little angled cut and cut kind of like at the tiniest triangle of space off so that this will fold into my box really easily. Okay, and just remember, when you're doing boxes, you're often doing the same thing on both sides. So I've done the bottom section. I'm going to flip it all the way over now, and just confirming I have my 2 large squares in front of me. This little tiny square, once again, just cutting straight up those little scored lines till I hit the next score, and then I'm just angle cutting to get a bit of those scraps out of my way. Okay, so at the moment, this is what your page should look like. You should still have kind of that little rectangle section and then your 2 large sections. Now we're going to turn our paper up and down, and we're working the opposite direction, okay? So I'm going to start with the right, but the same thing will happen on the left, so don't worry which side you start on. So this whole little tiny rectangle on this right-hand side is getting chopped out. Okay, we're cutting that all out of here. It's gone. Okay, do that to the other side as well. And gone. Now, we do need a little flaps for our box to close, so that's where these 2 tiny little squares that are remaining come in. So on the right-hand side, I'm going to cut up this tiny little line to separate my square. I've only gone as far as the score line, so 1 little square is loose, and then because it's a flap, we're just angle cutting to get those little sections out of our way. And then on the left, we're doing the same thing. Tiny little cut just to that scored line. So I have this little square loose, and I'm just going to angle cut it both ways. There. So this is going to be our box. You can turn it around so you can see it better. Here's our top section, and then these little parts, you can just kind of play for a minute. They're going to fold over each other, and this will be our box eventually. But we're not putting it together yet because we need to add some decoration to it. So one thing that I love to do is on a box, I like to round the corners. So I've got my old corner rounder from Stampin' Up. We don't have this one anymore, so I'm sorry. And we don't even have the envelope punch board. But I am like 99% sure you all have a corner rounder of some sort in your craft room. If you do not, you can also take the inside of like a circle punch and use that, or just your scissors, or you don't even need to do this part if you don't have a corner rounder, okay? But they are very handy. They're very cute. So just on that little flap, we've rounded the corners. Now I need to do a little bit of cutting for my designer series paper here. Okay, put that to the side for a second. So 2 pieces of designer series paper. They can be whatever pattern you'd like. And the first one here is going to be 1 1/4 by 2 1/4. The second one will be 2 1/4 by 2 3/4. Okay, so 1 1/4 by 2 1/4 for number 1, and 2 1/4 by 2 3/4 for number 2. Now, because I ended up corner rounding on my box, it looks best if you do a little bit of corner rounding on the bottom of your small piece of paper. And I lost my corner rounder. There we go. So don't do anything on the large piece, just the bottom part of your first piece here. Okay, sorry, I need a drink. Okay, now here's where things get fun. If you own some of these little magnets, these are called button magnets, and you can order them on Amazon or eBay. Then you can do this little technique of adding a magnet to close your box up. Can't even see my magnet because I'm going to show you how to hide it. If you do not own a magnet, don't stress. You're just going to end up closing your box with a glue dot, or you can go to the dollar store and get some of those little Velcro dots. Either way is fine, okay? But if you own some of these magnets, they're so tiny and so strong. So I've got 2 of them in my hands. So I just need to take 2 out of my box. And then, as I want to make sure they line up properly, I'm going to attach them between the layers. So one of them sticks to the bottom, one sticks to the top. And these button magnets are getting hidden underneath my designer series paper, so it really doesn't matter exactly where they lie, but I kind of like to have them kind of centralized so that they'll rest under my flower decal, okay? So this first one here that's on the flap, you've kind of got your box bent upwards because this is going to be the front of my box. I'm going to put some adhesive either on my cardstock or on my designer paper. I'm going to cover that magnet up, this little designer series paper piece. Again, you don't need to do this step. You can just add your designer series paper to the flap if you don't have these magnets. Okay, so there should be a slight little border all the way around the edge of your paper. And then the funny thing is, well, of course, we want this magnet actually to end up on this flap. How are we going to do that? So the way that we're going to do that is to fold up the box just like you see it here. So I've got my bottom section, and then this would fold over like this. So I'm going to add the tiniest dot of glue onto the back of my little button magnet. And I'm going to set it down and put a block over top of this so that that magnet attaches to the base of my box. Now set this to the side, and while that's drying, you can do a little bit of work to cut out and make your flower. So what I've decided to use for my flowers are the paper Florist dies. They're found on page 165 of the catalog. I'm using this one here because it cuts all of these in one shot. It has 2 large flowers and 2 small flowers. And then I'm using this die here, which gives me the outside and the inside of my center. So this little die set is really easy to miss in the catalog. So I'm just going to show it to you. It's page 165. It's this set here, but there are no stamps that go with it. And it's only ever shown one time inside the catalog. It says on page 33, you can take a peek and see it in action. So on page 33, you see it. You see these really cute flowers, and you're like, okay, well, it could go with this stamp, but it's not sold together. But if you're like me, you probably got your catalog and saw the back of this, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. These are the dies that they used in combination with the daisies to create this little kind of frame. So if you're intrigued and want to know, how you can do it, you basically sit there and cut out petals and petals and petals from this die set. So I haven't even played with half of what's offered here. You can see I just opened it up because I was more concerned with getting my boxes done and making the 150 little flowers that I needed. But one day I will get around to playing with the rest of this little set. So these guys here, I decided for my box, I needed to cut early espresso, and that's what I used this die for. And I cut crushed curry, and I was able to get these pieces all done in one shot through my cut and emboss machine. So I'll let you guys do that on your own for the sake of time, and I wasn't sure about my voice. I just kept some things prepped and ready to go. Okay, my dies so I don't lose them. How to put your flowers together. So you'll want your bone folder because you can make a flat flower, but it looks really, really pretty if you can bend the edges. So you just rest the petal between your bone folder and your thumb and gently, gently pull. Don't pull really hard, otherwise you'll pull your petals off and you'll be sad. So you can just gently pull up and it kind of rounds petals. Do you see the difference between these nice 3D ones and these boring kind of flat looking ones? So do that to all 4 of your petals. Wrong way. There we go. Your nail can also work if you have really long nails. Okay, and then to put this together, you can use glue dots if you want. You can just grab your glue dot roll, and all you do is you just stick one of the petal backs on there, and then you can layer it up like so. But you can also use a dot of glue just right in the center of your petals. So I've put my 2 large pieces together in opposite directions. Then I'm just going to keep building the flower in opposite directions with these small ones. Okay, so 1, 2, and then I am going to layer these 2 brown pieces together. But I kind of thought it looked cuter to pop the brown up on a dimensional when I put it in the flower. And I just felt like it kind of added a little bit of depth to my flower. So I've layered those 2 little circle pieces up with glue, but then I put a dimensional in the center. Popped this one up. Oh, now you're crooked. Nice thing about glue is you can move it. Here we go. That's better. Okay, there's my little flower. Set that guy aside for a second because we have to finish our box. So, take your block off. Should have done its job, and when you open up, the magnet is no longer attached to the back of your lid. it has stuck to your base exactly like we wanted to, but we have to cover that. So that's where this little piece comes in. We're going to put glue or tape or whatever you want on the back of this paper. Don't do dimensionals, because when you're making a box, you don't want the extra space for the magnet to have to kind of grasp through, and it might throw off how your box closes. So do make sure just to put a flat adhesive in there. Okay. This guy also should have just a really small little window. That, okay. So if I've closed my box up like this, I'm going to turn it over, and I do suggest either using glue or double-sided tape because you want something really, really strong. But we're going to put adhesive on this large rectangle section. Okay, so don't put anything on your two little flappies. Don't put it on the bottom, just on these two side pieces of your box. Tape is what I use because then I can take one off just one at a time. Otherwise, I'm having to worry about a sticky side here, okay? So my box is kind of gently put together at the moment. This bottom flap, I want to tuck in. The piece that has the adhesive will fold down. And then this front piece, this guy here, should fold back right on top of it, like that. So just gently press, and what you can do is you can actually take your bone folder and just kind of feed it to the inside of your box, rub it against a table, and that will make sure that the glue or this tape sticks really nicely for you. If it's glue, make sure after you're done this assembly, you set it aside so it has time to dry. Now we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So taking our adhesive off that strip and tucking my little bottom tag in, folding the piece that has the adhesive, and then the piece that is from the front just comes straight down. Again, your bone folder will fit inside the box. Just rest it between a table and flatten it. Okay, so there's your box. Should kind of open and close really easily. If you didn't have the magnet, now is a good time for you to just put a little glue dot right in this flap, or you can put that double-sided Velcro little dot too. Okay, so to attach our flowers, you can use glue or tape. Just for the sake of me being able to show you stuff, I'm going to do tape right on the edge of my little flap here. And my flower can go right in the middle. Oops, it's flying away. And then I always like to open the flap up and just press together, make sure that flower is nicely sticking. And then inside your box, you can put, there's 2 Hershey chocolate bars, would fit perfectly. But as I mentioned, I'm heading to Vegas, and I was really, really worried about transporting all of these things filled with chocolates because I just didn't trust the heat. So what I decided was I just grabbed some tea bags, and you just have to fold the edge part over a little bit. But a tea bag or 2 fits perfectly inside the box as well. So that's what I decided to do. But certainly for you guys, you can fit a whole other assortment of treats inside these boxes. So there's the 2 samples from today, but I did promise you I'll show you some other designs too. So I just kind of played with whatever combinations I could. I'll show you the paper pack. I chose the Delightfully Eclectic paper pack, and after all that crafting, this is what I have left. So we've got this design, got that design. We'll move the two so they're not the same. And we've got that design. I feel like I should have done one more design just to fill it out, but that's okay. There we go. So there are all the different designs that I did. You can see, look, there we go. They're so light because all I put in there was tea. Lots and lots and lots of boxes. See? So many fun boxes. So I have to still package those up with a little thank you note for everyone, but I did get those finished this weekend, which made me feel really good because I needed to finish those to feel accomplished and kind of a little bit more ready to head out on my trip. I have a few swaps still to work on, but 20 cards is not as bad as 150 little gifts. So there we go. There's the box. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope that you make some of these. You can also use different sort of papers. Maybe you have your own flowers. Maybe you've got winter snowflakes or something else that you want to put on a box. But go ahead and post photos and tag me in there. I'd love to see what you make. And I'd love to hear from you about any specific little things that you might want to see in the next few videos. Do pay attention. I have lots of fun things coming up. Once I get my pre-order from the new holiday catalog, I will do an unboxing video for you. And then of course, there's going to be so many ideas from those catalogs as well. And when I get back from the conference, I will have 150 cards plus a few others that I'm swapping with people to show you and for you to get ideas from. So I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Make sure to watch every Tuesday. I will have a video posted. I can tell you I won't be live for the rest of August just because I will be away for a couple different things, camping and then the trip to Vegas, but I will still have a video posting for you. So make sure to check out my YouTube. If there's anything you need, please just message me, or my website is listed at the bottom of the page and you can shop 24/7 and have things shipped straight to your house. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye.